Hello. Do you like inspirational stories? Well, here's a little story you might like. Martha was packing up her things from the residence to move in with her partner, when George, her boyfriend, suddenly showed her a pair of old worn-out sneakers, crumpling his face. "Are you going to keep these?" Martha's eyes watered. George was speechless, believing he had done something wrong. The old slippers brought back a wealth of memories that had been kept deep in her heart and defined who she was today. It had been the race of her life. She was just a 16-year-old girl, very tormented by her own complexes. However, she had trained hard for several weeks for the race ahead, but still had doubts about whether she could complete it. She had decided to run the long-distance race, not for the sake of pleasing her father, who had been a great runner in his younger days, but to prove to herself that she was capable of not giving up on her goals and reaching the finish line. Although the sun was shining in the morning of that day, she could see little clouds of steam escaping from her mouth, yet her nerves made her indifferent to the cold dawn. The air was pure and the sky was clear. It was one of the most important days of her life, and the day had finally arrived. She was determined to do her best. She was in the starting position and glanced at the other competitors. They tensed and twitched anxiously. They were experienced runners, and she assumed they were swift by the definition of their muscles. They were intimidating, and focused on one goal: to win. A chill ran down her back and she was overwhelmed with doubts. Her legs began to shake and her hands wouldn't stop sweating. Had the weeks of training been enough? She hesitated. Her gaze swept the crowd around them, and a pair of eyes in the audience reinforced her confidence. They were her father's. As she tried to overcome her conflicting thoughts, her heart skipped a beat at the sound of the starting gun. As soon as the race began, her opponents left her behind. As she ran, she felt the sun warm her skin. Her heart was almost bursting and her legs were giving no more, until, finally, she crossed the finish line. She may not have been the fifth to finish, and she may not have won the race, but she had given her all, and most importantly, she had enjoyed not only the moment but also won her own battle. It was an unforgettable moment for Martha, a moment full of emotion and pride for both her and her father. She could not stop smiling like her father, who ran to her side raising his arms in victory. They hugged each other tightly for a long time. Her tears escaped from her eyes though her legs were still shaking. She was still jumping for joy with her father. The audience was amazed at the sudden display of joy they both had despite losing the race. That race was much more than a simple sporting competition. It was a lesson that would stay with her for the rest of her life.